Joe Biden is calling up reserves, 3,000 of them. In fact, they have not been told where they're going. This story has not gotten any play anywhere. And it's a little surprising because to me, it kind of seems like a big story. And yet there's very, very little out there in the media about it. But they've been underwater. I mean, you consider our military right now. I want to point out this statistic. We have at present 291 Navy ships. We're supposed to have 371. We don't even have enough ships, let alone people to populate the ships. The Air Force is at a record low in terms of its recruitment. And yet we're living in a time where guys, gals, whatever you want to call them, like Austin Phillips, are out there.
Nashville champion in the house. It's Austin.
Strange times. Indeed. Look, Joe Biden, I think it's fair to say, has thus far proved to be pretty devastating for the U.S. economy, for culture, for our international security, considering what's going on with Taiwan and China, considering what's going on overseas with Ukraine, Russia. And it kind of all comes back to whether or not the guy can do the job. I mean, I don't think he can. I think that's quite obvious. He's frankly too old, and I'm not an ageist, but there comes a point where you're going to say, okay, enough, and call it a day. When you can't get up the stairs, and it happened again, when you can't get up the stairs on Air Force One, when you can't make it to the dinner at night because you're too tired, when you're having to take multiple days off, when your staff doesn't even know how you're going to possibly endure a campaign schedule, that's when, maybe it's time to retire, buddy. I mean, you've been doing it for 50 years. But I don't know, is the money that good? I always wonder how these politicians make any money. I mean, he had a book. I guess you get some there. And then, of course, he had his family. And that gets us back to this entire issue of Burisma. It gets us back to the cocaine at the White House that nobody can seem to figure out, where the heck that one came from. And nobody's willing to actually ask the tough questions on that. You better believe if the tables were turned and that was Donald Trump in the White House, you know how fast they'd be going after his kids. And I'm not saying that it was, anything to do with any member of the Biden family. We just happen to know that somebody has a pretty challenged history on that front and is in and out of the White House. I don't know how that Secret Service cannot actually prevent drugs from coming into the White House. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I've been to the White House. I told you guys this. I've been many times, and every single time they run a pretty serious background check on you, and you go through all kinds of machines, including x-rays. They have all kinds of wands to go over your stuff. They've got all sorts of dogs, German Shepherds, big ones. I just have a little one, little tiny Maltese, big German Shepherds that are there to sniff you and your belongings. So how the heck does cocaine get into the White House? And then how is it possible that you don't have any fingerprints at all? I'm sorry, but that story's not over for me. So much of this is not over, but he just thinks, guess what? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you $39 billion. 800,000 Americans will benefit from this $39 billion. And again, I'll just go back to the Supreme Court ruling 2 weeks ago. King Biden is not supposed to be able to do this. And so it really is a giant F-U. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.